Saturday night is all right for wrestling discussion. Welcome to the No DQ live stream recap of AEW Collision episode 2. Also, I will be giving my Forbidden Door predictions. That event is Sunday night. We have 14 matches. 4 of those matches are actually, I think, 15 matches. 15 matches with 4 of them being on the pre-show. Actually, 14. I believe it's 14. I have not counted since the other day. A lot of matches, including the 0 hour. I will only be discussing the main card matches and maybe one other match. But anyways, that will be in a little bit. First up, let's talk about AEW Collision in Toronto. 2 straight nights of AEW in Toronto. They actually did do a solid job building up Forbidden Door. Collision ended up with a decent attendance, I think somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 people after it was not looking good. A few weeks ago, they only had like 2,500 tickets sold for this event. Just goes to show you lower ticket prices a little bit. CM Punk is back. Things start to pick up. Anyways, I really wanted to compliment AEW on the opening promos. We had CM Punk's team cutting a promo, and then we had Bullet Club Gold and the Guns cutting their promo. It was very much in the style of the old Saturday night's main event style promos that would kick off the show before the opening video sequence. I really like this. I've always been a fan of these types of promos going back to Saturday night's main event. I guess it's a bit of nostalgia for me, but I like it. It's a nice way to hype up the main event of the show. And it's a nice start to the show here for Dynamite. We kicked off the actual show with Tony Schiavone in the ring. He was going to speak with Sting and Darby Allin, but instead, Chris Jericho showed up. He played up the heel character. He insulted Toronto, called them idiots for cheering him because he's from Winnipeg. He said he was in a bad mood, which is an interesting line to use given the report that somebody left Dynamite in a bad mood because of the CM Punk return. But Jericho was not in a good mood because Sting and Darby Allin would not tell him who their partner was going to be at Forbidden Door. Jericho, who was with Suzuki, we had no Sammy Guevara. He was not there. But Suzuki was there with Jericho. Sting and Darby Allin finally showed up when Jericho started threatening Tony Schiavone. And they did reveal their partner, the third man. The third man is Naito, who defeated Chris Jericho for the IWGP Intercontinental title in 2019, Wrestle Kingdom 13, I think. Anyways, he has the history with Jericho. They had their stare down, and Jericho left the ring. Makes sense. Naito is a logical choice for this spot. Although I have to say, and Virtue might agree with me on this one, Virtue, of course, of No DQ Review, I was a little disappointed, and this might be an unpopular opinion. I was hoping that Bill Goldberg would be the partner. Now, I did not realistically expect it. If Goldberg does anything with AEW, I think it would be at All In at Wembley Stadium. I just want to see Goldberg in AEW because I know it would piss off a lot of people and I would be entertained by that. And I think that's where Virtue and I would be in agreement. I want to see Goldberg in AEW. I think it would be fun. Why not? But of course, wrestling fans have to have their work rate guys and all that stuff. And yeah, as Virtue said, it's a New Japan split show. Goldberg really did not make sense for this particular event, but I want Bill Goldberg. I'm saying it on record. Bill Goldberg needs to be at All In at Wembley Stadium. And shout out to Big Vito, who says he should not be beat if he goes. Well, maybe Goldberg does get a win since he lost to Roman Reigns. And if Bill Goldberg's going to have one last match before he retires, perhaps they could figure out something. I think I mentioned a while back this idea of Bill Goldberg being in a multi-way match where Goldberg can be on the apron, tag in, hit somebody with a spear, and win for his team. I'm not sure if Goldberg should be doing a singles match, but you put him in a tag match, you can protect him. He can go out there, tag in at the end, do the spear, get the big pop, and win the match and retire. That would be fine by me. Do that at All In. We had a promo from Miro backstage. He talked about being in exile for almost a year, but now he must walk alone. He has renounced his God. He has renounced his beautiful wife. He is now godless. So that's Miro's new shtick right now. I guess he's an atheist, agnostic, something like that. Who knows? But Miro is a man on a mission. And I'm not talking about the tag team men on a mission. We had our first match of the evening, which was Swerve Strickland versus Tanahashi. Tanahashi doing his air guitar routine, playing some mind games with Swerve, and Swerve would taunt Tanahashi as the match went on. Swerve was using all the heel tactics to get the advantage. Tanahashi was trying to get in the ring. Swerve would kick the middle rope, and then later, Swerve used the apron skirt to get the upper hand. Eventually, Tanahashi made a comeback, went for the top rope splash, but Swerve got his knees up. Tanahashi managed to avoid the Swerve stomp, and then he went up to the top, and he actually slipped on the top. They had to improvise for a second, and eventually Tanahashi got back up there, hit the top rope splash, and picked up the match. So, yeah, it was not Tanahashi's most spectacular performance here by any means. His match with MJF, by the way, is going to open Forbidden Door. And maybe that's a good idea to put that match on first. MJF can say, just like Brock Lesnar, if he's not on last, then he's on first so we can get the hell out of Toronto. He could say something along those lines. Match was okay for what it was, but yeah, I think Tanahashi is probably relying more on his charisma than his in-ring skills at this point. And I think that's probably why he was booked for the match with MJF, so MJF can beat a veteran and look good in the process as much as possible. MJF, we'll see what MJF can do with him if they can make that a memorable match. MJF has not missed on pay-per-view. We'll see what he does against Tanahashi at Forbidden Door. Virtue says MJF should squash him. Well, I don't see that happening, but who knows? Maybe they'll shock us. After the match was over, MJF appeared on the video screen, but he said he's not going to make any more Toronto appearances than he has to. He said he's going to take the air guitar and shove it up Tanahashi's ass. Tanahashi is not on the level of the devil. Basic stuff here, but setting up the pay-per-view, no issues. Next up, we had Andrade versus Brody King. Now, last week, Andrade beat Buddy Matthews. Andrade was really playing up his pec, which he was injured from and out of action for almost a year. He had his pec and shoulder area taped up, but got in a lot of offense on Brody Lee and started targeting the leg of Brody. But Andrade still hurting. He was still selling the pec. And then Brody gave Andrade a DVD in the corner. Brody's knee, however, gave out on him. Andrade applied the figure 4 and was going for the figure 8, just like his wife, Charlotte Flair. But then Julia Hart got on the apron and distracted him. He let go of the hold, stupid babyface, but they were really trying to stress the point that that mask that Andrade has is very important to him for whatever reason. I guess strong enough of importance to let go of the hold. But then he managed to still get the upper hand again. He reapplied the figure 4 and was going for the figure 8. But this time we had Buddy Matthews getting in the ring, attacking Andrade, causing a disqualification. WWE finish here. We rarely see DQs in AEW. This felt like something right out of WWE. They do a long match, really good match, but then they do the DQ finish, which I guess in this sense does make sense because they're really starting to build up this storyline and this idea that Andrade needs some backup. He was outnumbered here by the House of Black. Julia Hart held up the mask, and Malachi Black was on the big screen looking all sinister. We'll have to see if Andrade can find some help, if he can get a friend in AEW. We had a promo in the ring from Chris Jericho and Luchasaurus. They were interviewed by Tony Schiavone. And the idea here is that Christian Cage is taking credit for being the TNT champion, even though Luchasaurus did the work. Christian was insulting Toronto, even though he's from Canada. He said Toronto breeds losers. He insulted the Maple Leafs. He did the cheap heat, insulting the town. And then he started talking about how he had to leave Toronto to become a champion. And he said he's going to take the TNT title to new heights. It's an interesting storyline. Luchasaurus doing the work and Christian acting like he won the title. I'm not sure where this is going, but hey, maybe they'll do a breakup with these guys at some point. I don't know, but I mean, at least they're trying something here to make the TNT title seem like an interesting part of the show. We had a video package for the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament, lots of interviews and clips of the participants. And then we had an Owen Hart tournament match for the women's tournament. Willow Nightingale versus Nyla Rose. Match was fine. Basic match, though. You had Marina Shafir out there providing the interference, protecting Nyla on the outside, and then Nyla took advantage, sent Willow into the ring post. Nyla worked over the arm of Willow for a while, but Willow was able to avoid the beast bomb and then took out Nyla with the pounce, period. Kevin Kelly even referenced Monty Brown, which was a little nice nod there to him. Willow picked up the win with a gut-wrench powerbomb. Looked pretty good. And after the match was over, the Outcasts, including Saraya, who was off TV for a few weeks, she was there. They surrounded the ring. But then Blue Sky, who's been getting a push as of late, came out there with a steel chair and ran them off. Willow will be facing Toni Storm at Forbidden Door. And again, I will have my predictions here in just a few minutes, so stay tuned for that. We had Scorpio Sky interviewed backstage. Steve-O said sky blue. What did I say? I thought I said sky blue. Did I say blue sky? Sky blue, blue sky, whatever. Scorpio Sky said that when he got his big break in AEW, he just was not able to handle it until now. He said everything he's accomplished, first tag team champion in AEW, face of the revolution, TNT champion, all that stuff was just a shadow of his true self. We had Powerhouse Hobbs in a squash match. Not much to say about it. Nice little squash match here. Beat the guy with the spine buster. I like it. And it does feel like on Collision, they are trying to focus more on the heavyweights, which I definitely think is a positive. You got Luchasaurus and Powerhouse Hobbs and Miro. I'm all for that. I think it's a nice change from Dynamite. Let Dynamite be the show with the high flyers, and let Collision be more about the powerhouse wrestlers like Powerhouse Hobbs and so forth. We had our main event of the evening, and this was an interesting one. 8-man tag team match. Jay White, Juice Robinson, and the Guns with their crappy music versus CM Punk, FTR, and Ricky Starks. CM Punk came out there, and they were no longer in Chicago. He got a lot of boos. He did get some cheers, but the thing is, every time fans started to chant CM Punk, they got drowned out by the boos. It was like John Cena at the peak of Cena's mixed reactions. And I'm very much looking forward to Forbidden Door now, just to see how the sold-out crowd in Toronto reacts to CM Punk. Like, if you think it was bad on this show, when you get the even more hardcore fans that'll be there for the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, it's going to be interesting. He's going to be the heel of the night, I think. Long match here. They got a lot of time. CM Punk was milking it for all it was worth. He was doing the Hogan ear cup. He was flexing his muscles. He was doing a great job here. And it seemed like he was really enjoying it. He loved getting the mixed reaction. And Punk was in there for a good amount of the match, and he even got beat up for a while. Juice Robinson attempted the GTS to Punk, but that did not work. Ricky Starks got the hot tag, and then things started to break down. We had everybody brawling on the outside of the ring, and then back in the ring, Ricky Starks took down Austin Gunn with the spear, but then Juice Robinson took a cheap shot from the outside. Jay White was the legal man. He hit the Blade Runner to Starks and got the 1-2-3 victory, which surprised me. I thought for sure the good guys were winning here. And I do like when they change things up. Like, I thought for sure CM Punk was winning, even though it's a multi-way match. But yeah, CM Punk lost, technically. Ricky Starks did take the pin in this, which is unfortunate for him. But I think it's a good idea to build up the heels. Guns need some new music, though. Quite frankly, I think Jay White and Juice Robinson do, too. Their music's quite generic, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, these guys definitely needed a big win here, so good for them. And yes, I agree, Mr. Mayhem. I definitely would like to see that double turn. Man, imagine those guys in Long Island. That would be a hot match. I mean, it would be a hot match anywhere, but especially in Long Island with MJF being the babyface. And Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, if they do Punk and MJF, the crowd will be interesting, especially if it's in a city like Long Island. In Chicago, I almost don't want it to be in Chicago because that's where CM Punk will be cheered. I want to see it in a city where Punk is going to get booed. I would love to see it in a city like Long Island or even somewhere in Canada. We'll see how other cities react to CM Punk in the coming weeks. But my pick would be Long Island personally. But if they do it in Chicago, that's fine too. I just want to see CM Punk get booed because it made for a fun atmosphere on this show. And overall, I actually liked this Collision better than the first one. I'm going up to a B plus. I think I did a B last week. I think this was a very good show overall. I liked the heels winning the main event. They built up Powerhouse Hobbs. They set up the Sting match for Forbidden Door. You started the Owen Hart tournament. It was a very good show. And I like the pacing of it. I like the commentary. It's a nice change of pace from Dynamite. I like the heavyweights getting a little bit more of a focus than they were on Dynamite. All right, so with that all being said, let's move on now to the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. I'm going to try and get through this relatively quickly. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat, says, what is your ideal Wembley main event? You know what? I would not mind CM Punk and MJF in Wembley Stadium. That would be my ideal main event, and I don't think it's going to happen, would be CM Punk versus Kenny Omega. I mean, that's my ideal AEW main event, period. That's the match I want to see. And after Collision in Toronto, I want to see that match even more. CM Punk versus Kenny Omega, I think, is the biggest money match that AEW can possibly do. Anyways, let's get to Forbidden Door. A lot of matches. The only 0-hour match I'm going to predict, because the other three they just announced and I really don't care. We do have Athena versus Billy Starks. I don't know who Billy Starks is, so because of that, I'm going to say Athena wins and advances in the Owen Hart tournament. We have the 4-way match for the International Championship. Orange Cassidy, Zack Sabre Jr., Shibata, and Daniel Garcia. This match, I'm sure, will be good. Orange Cassidy seems to be overcoming the odds in these multi-man matches, so I think he's going to do it again. I don't see the need for Orange Cassidy to lose in a 4-way to any of these other people unless AEW wants to have the international title defended in Japan. I guess Shibata could win in that case, but I'm going to go ahead and say Orange Cassidy retains the championship. Singles match for the AEW Women's Championship. Toni Storm versus Willow Nightingale. Willow Nightingale has been on a roll, and she is the New Japan Strong Women's Champion, whatever it is. But yeah, I definitely see Toni Storm retaining. She just won it. Willow, she might get her moment one day, but I don't think it's going to be on this show. I do think with confidence that Toni Storm will retain her title. Adam Cole versus Tom Lawler, who I really don't know anything about. He's done MMA and he's wrestled a bit, but don't really know too much about the guy. Adam Cole wins. You know, he's being built up for MJF. Think this is an easy prediction here. They basically just threw this match together on Rampage. Adam Cole wins. Not much else to say about it. IWGP World Title, which is in an interesting spot because you have so many other matches eclipsing it. Sonata versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry, which I think this will be a really good match, but it's hard to care about it. The thing about Jungle Boy is he always delivers in the ring, but I just don't care about this match. And both guys act like the other guy is a nobody. You know, Sonata did this interview and said that guys like Jungle Boy should not be challenging for the title. And Jungle Boy said he's never seen Sonata wrestle. So these guys think the other guy is a jabroni. And I mean, sometimes in wrestling that works, but when you bury your opponents like that they're not world-class challengers or champions, like, I don't know. I mean, this feels like another match that's just thrown together. It's Forbidden Door. We got to have AEW versus New Japan, but it'll be a good match. Just don't care about it too much, unfortunately. Sonata retains. I mean, I don't see Jungle Boy winning the IWGP World title. Sonata will win. CM Punk versus Kojima in the Owen Hart tournament. Now, I think CM Punk is the front runner to win this. I know there have been people wanting to see somebody like Ricky Starks win the tournament or Powerhouse Hobbs, and maybe they will. Maybe CM Punk will put them over, but that will be in the final match. Based off of the tournament bracket, I could see it being CM Punk versus either Starks or Hobbs in the final. CM Punk wins here. This is just somebody for CM Punk to beat, and it would have been Kenta if Kenta agreed to do the match, but since he didn't, they had to come up with somebody else, and they picked Kojima. CM Punk wins. AEW World Title, MJF versus Tanahashi, which they said MJF said it, and then they said it on commentary. It will open the pay-per-view. We'll see if MJF can have a great match here with Tanahashi. I think it'll be good. I have confidence in MJF that he'll deliver, and I do not see Tanahashi winning. I think Tanahashi was picked to be somebody that MJF can beat. And no, I don't think I've picked any New Japan wrestlers yet, but stay tuned. Next up, we have the Jericho Appreciation Society, Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara teaming up. And I'm forgetting his name now, so I'm having a brain fart. For some reason, Suzuki. I had it written down. Jericho, Guevara, and Suzuki against Sting, Darby Allin, and Naito. Jericho is in the stage of his career where he's putting over everybody. He put over Action Andretti, which seems like that was a mistake. He put over Roderick Strong. I think he's fine losing this one. And they continue the dissension between Jericho and Guevara. Sting, Darby, and Naito win this one. And this one, it's mixed. AEW and New Japan on the same side in each match. So Sting, Darby, and Naito for this one. And then 10-man tag team match, another mixed match here. Blackpool Combat Club, Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Claudio, along with Takeshita and Umino against the Elite, Adam Page, Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, Eddie Kingston, and Ishii. This one's a tough call, but I'm going to say the bad guys win this one. I still think we're getting blood and guts. I don't know if that's going to happen at Wembley Stadium or All Out, but I think if you're ending this feud with blood and guts, which is what I expect at this point, the good guys will win blood and guts. Therefore, I think the bad guys should win this one. Blackpool Combat Club gets the win. They're building up to Takeshita, and I definitely see them picking up the win here, and then the Elite issued the challenge for blood and guts to try and settle the score. And now we have the final two matches of the evening, which both of these matches I think are strong possibilities for match of the year. Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay. You know, the Dave Meltzers of the world are really looking forward to this one. Should be a hell of a match. I mean, it's going to be great. The athleticism with these guys is going to be next level. Omega and Ospreay. Now, Omega won the first match, and here's where I think New Japan's winning. They're going to win these two big matches at the end of the show. Omega versus Ospreay could be the main event. I mean, I think the main event is either going to be this or Bryan Danielson versus Okada. It has to be one of those two. I don't even know which one should close. Like, I could see either one of them closing the show. Man, it's a tough call. I could see Okada's match closing the show. I mean, I think ultimately he's like the biggest star of New Japan, but Ospreay's also up there as far as his international presence. Man, this is going to be a hell of a match. But since Omega won the first one at Wrestle Kingdom, Ospreay's going to win here. And that will perhaps, I mean, again, I don't know when they're doing Blood and Guts, but, they could end up doing this match one more time at Wembley Stadium. They could save Blood and Guts for All Out or give it away on TV. But I think with All In and All Out so close together, they're probably going to put Blood and Guts on a pay-per-view. I mean, that's what would make sense to me. But yeah, I'm going with Ospreay to win this one. Big win for New Japan. And then the main event. And by the way, I did pick Sonata to retain. So I did pick him, New Japan, in that match. Bryan Danielson versus Okada, which could end up being the main event. And this is going to be another fantastic match. Bryan Danielson's been resting up. He hasn't been wrestling a lot as of late, and I think for good reason. I think that he's been letting his body heal up so he can go hard against Okada. And I think Okada's going to win because Bryan is at this point in his career where he's putting over other people. He doesn't need to win this match. He really doesn't. Matthew wants him to win, but I think he's going to be totally fine putting over Okada. And should be a match of the year contender. And I think I got everything. If I missed something, let me know. But I think I got all of the key matches minus the 0-hour pre-show matches. I'm just going to say this right now. It's too much. Like, I know, and I say this every time, it's $50. They want to give you your money's worth, but I just think it's too much. 14 matches. I mean, you're really testing the crowd to see if they can stay hot for the entire show. I mean, I would be perfectly happy spending $50 and getting a 7-match card. And even as TJS says, at least start it in the afternoon. Like, if you're going to do 14 matches, how about we do the show earlier in the day? Do it like 5 or 6 o'clock start time. Like, I would really appreciate that. I'm just excited for Money in the Bank because it's 3 o'clock. I love the early shows. I love the international shows, doing them in the afternoon. It's so much better to watch. I have more energy, and doing the live streams afterwards, it's tough when it's like midnight and the show is still going on. It's a bit much. And I guess for all you 20-year-olds out there, it's not so bad. But when you hit 40, you like to have a little bit of time when the show's over to just decompress and relax. And you really don't get that with these long shows going past midnight. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the live stream tonight, the predictions, and the Collision recap. If you enjoyed it, please leave a comment on YouTube, youtube.com/AaronRiff, You can also access the YouTube channel, nodq.com/YouTube. And tell a friend, spread the word about No DQ, the YouTube channel, and the website. I will be doing live coverage of the Forbidden Door pay-per-view match by match on nodq.com. And stay tuned for all the updates as they become available. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Enjoy Forbidden Door. And I will see you all after the show for my recap. It'll almost certainly be early Monday morning, but that's how we roll. I'll see you guys then. And remember, say yes to nodq.com. I'll see you all next time.